Hey, what's up, everybody? Seven Skeletons: The Evolution of the World's Most Famous Human Fossils by Lydia Pyne. Lydia Pyne is a historian and a science writer. She does have a couple other books out besides Seven Skeletons. I found this book by Googling best books on paleoanthropology, and this one popped up on most of the lists I checked out. Now, the subtitle, The Evolution of the World's Most Famous Human Fossils, I think is slightly misleading. What the book is really about is why are some fossil hominids more famous than others? What kinds of things play into how famous a fossil find becomes, and what that fame can mean for the directions that science moves in. That's what this book is really about. It could have been written for any science topic, but it's about fossil hominids, which is a pretty great topic if you ask me. So, this book explores the popularity of fossils using seven of some of the more well known hominid fossil discoveries. Well, six and one fake hoax. Each fossil star gets a chapter, and featured in this book are the old Neanderthal man of La Chapelle, the Piltdown hoax, the Tong child Australopithecus, and I noticed that Australopithecus features every vowel. That's really cool. Chapter 4 is Peking Man, a Homo erectus whose fossil remains were lost amid the chaos of World War II and never recovered. Lucy, probably the most famous Australopithecus, and Flo, the Homo floresiensis, aka Hobbit, and Australopithecus sediba, who was found by a child in Africa. What made this book most enjoyable for me was learning about the varieties of Homos and Australopithecines and how each of these finds can change how we think evolution may have happened. Even though this is all written surrounding the fame of the fossils, you'll learn about how the science of paleoanthropology helps us to understand more about ourselves and where we came from. And the author does discuss many other varieties other than the seven big stars, like Ardipithecus, Homo heidelbergensis, and Homo naledi, who was a new find when this book came out in 2016. Lydia Pyne also does a very good job of putting the reader right there in the dig site, and that was really cool. And there are plenty of pictures of all the fossils and some of the locations where they were found. The cave where they found Flo really stuck in my memory. It looks like something straight out of a movie. If you Google Flores Cave, you'll see the big Liangbois cave, and it's really remarkable. That's another thing. This book caused me to stop and look up the stuff that she was talking about so many times just because it was so interesting. In fact, I feel like the things she talked about were more interesting than the things she had to say about them. Does that make sense? The whole fame angle was okay, but I don't care so much about that as just learning about the subject material. So, as I usually do when I'm reading a book that I'm going to review, I recorded 27 videos of me talking about things to bring up, but I'm not actually talking about any of that stuff at all. That's all stuff regarding the fame of the fossils, and frankly, to me, that just wasn't interesting compared to the fossils themselves. But looking back, I'm glad I learned these things. For instance, when an artist recreates a hominid with a model for a museum exhibit or a television special, that product, which is the result of thousands of design choices, can have a powerful influence on how the world perceives that particular creature. And they could get things wrong, or things could change. For instance, it's now accepted that Neanderthals were likely just as intelligent as Homo sapiens, but so many people were brought up learning that Neanderthals were much more primitive. They're still often portrayed that way. Seven Skeletons also addresses issues that we saw coming up in Venki Ramakrishna's Gene Machine, such as some of the politics and ego and behind the scenes happenings on scientific discoveries. A lot of that was eye opening and sometimes pretty surprising. So, my final verdict is that the book was certainly interesting enough to take the time to read. It wasn't as deep as the last book, Reading the Rocks, but a reader can really connect with the material here, and I did learn quite a bit. I think a book like this was a good starter for someone like me who doesn't know much about paleoanthropology yet but would like to learn. Have you guys read any, or can you recommend any good paleoanthropology books? This is one of the subjects that I'd like to find more good books on other than just school textbooks. Those get really expensive. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're interested in learning more about our origins, our ancestors from all around the world, and especially if you're interested in what kinds of things affects which fossils become famous, check out Seven Skeletons by Lydia Pyne.